Hello, fabulous fans and superstars of my dear friend Nadiya Shah. I am Yuriria Robles and I wish you a very happy 2025. Welcome to the predictions for each sign for the month of January 2025. Remember to check your sun sign and the ascendant sign and even your moon sign so that you have a more complete prediction. Libra, you have sustained two circumstances during this time, and for this month, the south node will still be in your sign. The other point in your sign is the farthest point of the lunar orbit, which we call Lilith. Both weaken your need for diplomacy, justice, and agreements. Well, you cannot even negotiate at the moment. It is true that you may feel little desire and even resentment to do so. The effect of this can be clearly seen in the world. The force of diplomacy and agreements are not at their best. On the contrary, it is the idealization of confrontation and power struggles that are dominant now. The month begins with a tense dialogue imposed by the Moon-Pluto conjunction in exact opposition to Mars, which means a work of action and confrontation, establishing a power struggle that proposes an interaction between the individual and the group in a balanced way. The leader in the area of your community and groups creatively proposes action on your desires and hopes, but in addition to acting creatively, he must consider the group, who must show intelligence and discipline to control their obsession with the new. The strength is in the dialogue. As Mars is in a period of retrograde, on the 6th it re-enters Cancer, which turns your attention to your desire to stand out from the community, and it faces the Sun in Capricorn, turning your attention to the goals that your family and your ancestors proposed to you. But you may also want to buy a more solid house with a higher social status, but at the same time protecting your professional development, which is what gives you security. This dialogue generates anxiety and tension because moving towards achieving goals implies leaving the past behind, and that is scary, especially on the 13th when the full moon occurs together with Mars, strengthening the old values that made you get to these points, and you can feel that the goals and paths to improve put at risk what has been achieved. This process will extend until April, and only then we will return to the dynamic that was proposed on January 1st, allowing leadership that is capable of moving the group towards the future with discipline and intelligence. You have experienced this with close and distant friends who presented a difficulty last month, and now the confrontation will move towards the professional space as well as at home. Especially with the full moon on the 13th, you will feel the power struggle and the personal difficulty in reaching agreement. You would like to free yourself from everything, but the wound is enormous, and the moon with Mars retrograde makes you review work and social goals. It is talking with brothers and cousins and neighbors, as well as short trips, that helps you have new perspectives, although not all of them are applicable due to your work responsibilities. Venus, your ruling planet, was in Aquarius last month, and you must have enjoyed your children and loved ones. On the 3rd, it will enter Pisces, and you will also feel comfortable working, although you would literally like to go out and enjoy life. For now, you will find that your job is the ideal place for you. You may even be offered a new position, which you must carefully review, since although it is ideal, it has its own conditions. It may also be a love affair with a co-worker or someone who returns from the past. Be sensible and mature as much as possible. Allow it to fill your soul with joy and encouragement. Prepare yourself beforehand by releasing resentment so that you do not transfer anger to the new situation. Venus will have the challenge of commitment because on the 18th it reaches Saturn and establishes a harmonious dialogue with Mars, emphasizing with this the love of the past and at the same time the love of the new. Because Uranus imposes a brief harmonious connection towards the end of the month, when on the 28th Venus reaches the degree to which it will return in its retrograde period in March and April. On the 29th it reaches Neptune in Pisces, and the North Node also enters this sign. So all this means a great idealization, a longing for love and desire that surpasses all that is imagined. On the non-coherent side, it means a great sacrifice and detachment from reality. This movement to Pisces is emphasized by the North Node that will remain in Pisces for the 18th months with its counterpart, the South Node in Virgo. This change affects the relationships that will insatiably seek this idealization that is natural to the North Node in Pisces, but it will be considerably enhanced by the Venus-Neptune conjunction. The objective of this configuration is to reestablish faith in love and in the ideal, but it brings the stamp of impatience because it will reach Aries, and also the inferior conjunction of Venus is in itself restless. The retrograde will end in a long conjunction with Saturn, which is where it began, bringing the love affair to reality. However, I believe that ultimately it brings for you a questioning of the daily sacrifice that you make at work, and that now it will be emphasized much more. It will become a vocation, an apostolate, if you will, more than a simple daily job. This process has the goal of introducing into your daily life the feeling of being spiritually dedicated to your work or your well-being. The challenge is precisely growth and order, because they are configured by Jupiter in Gemini and Saturn in Pisces. This supposes a conflict of possibilities. The dilemma is to change or continue as it is, and Mars in Cancer is emphasizing the attachment to the past. On the other hand, Pluto imposes its orientations towards the future, making the choice even more tense and complex. The dilemma is to take a risk or deny an opportunity. Reconciling this is the work. This is a process that will be in effect until mid-year. The full moon on the 13th emphasizes the decision-making process between the old and the new. Leaving the comfort zone requires courage and knowing how to adapt to the unknown. The old will be idealized because Neptune is lifting the veil of the ideal of the past, and Pluto supports this mirage, but at the same time we are tempted by the new due to the harmonious dialogue with Uranus at this time. In addition, we feel the confrontation of the wound of the past with the rebelliousness to come to an agreement. In no way are we willing to give in on anything. Venus at this time, together with Saturn, also cooperates in the tense dialogue with Jupiter, which proposes an excess of communication with multiple voices and proposals that cause dispersion, and yet the resolution of this conflict would make us win the future. I propose calm and patience because the pressure of the new is inevitable. The full moon in Cancer is conjunct with Mars, which emphasizes the confrontation with Pluto that we have been pointing out. So taking care of security should not distract us from our goal, because if we do not risk changing, improving ourselves internally, and we hide by protecting what we know, we will lose progress, and the purpose will not be fulfilled. On the other hand, risking everything by losing security is not advisable either. So balance is necessary, not only during this day, but the following week from the 13th to 21st of the month, when the Sun will join this dialogue. Neptune allows us to imagine how improvement would be possible without losing security. Perhaps we can sacrifice some things, situations, or relationships in search of progress, realizing that they are really a burden or a comfort zone, that we can no longer stay in the same place or in the same situation. Then we can be honest and use diplomacy and elegance to say goodbye to the old and strive to reach for the new. As I said at the beginning, it requires an exercise of discipline, effort, and willpower, above all, to reach the desired goal. Now let us remember that belonging does not mean adjusting or conforming to what others think or say. It is about offering the best of ourselves and negotiating with others. If they do not want to, then there's not the place. And in contrast, accepting what others are and offer it. If you don't want it, then there is no obligation to stay either. But by accepting, each and everyone obtains the responsibility of their actions, fulfilling their obligations, maintaining a creative attitude in the group, even through Uranus. We are willing to change habits, and Mercury in its passage through Capricorn also focuses us on the goal. But even with this, we can insist on the fear of losing what we have gained. If it means improvement, it is like wanting to put on new shoes without taking off the old ones. Just before the end of the month, on the 29th, the new moon, preceded by Pluto and Mercury, reinforces the sense of renewal in the groups to which we belong, in hopes, in ideologies, and above all, in what we consider intelligent. Also, at that time, Mars receives all the support to find reasons, feelings to preserve what is valuable, and with this we will feel strong to defend in an orderly and sensible way our beliefs, policies, and tastes. The new moon on the 29th also brings news with our children, your children, and loves, even creativity. You will form new situations and bonds that will, of course, be more in line with your sense of justice, diplomacy, elegance, and beauty. I insist that you free yourself from idealization and from what hurt you in the past. Now you know that you can ask for what you need and not just conform to your idea of what can be or what the other needs at your expense. You could not bear it anymore. Enjoy the new. Also, the new moon in Aquarius, preceded by Pluto and Mercury, leads to fascination and a taste for the new. And Jupiter at this time brings a harmonious dialogue to get it right with its enthusiasm and multiple ideas, inciting towards the new and technology. In addition, the North Node promises an ideal, a utopia, if you will, and at this moment, the position of Mars in relation to Saturn seems to show agreements on what is worth preserving and what is not. This last planet is the ruler of delineation, and in its position in Pisces, it brings us an effort to accept that it is possible to order the imagined reality. At times, what we imagine will be too big, and we still suffer from the excesses of Pisces, but we will seek to achieve an improvement anyway. The essential challenge to overcome is to accept the wound, forgive in order to move on, and force yourself to negotiate, being honest with those who truly need to. Only then will we be able to overcome resentment, anger, and paralysis. This contradiction between the group of planets in Pisces and those in Aquarius makes action difficult. On the one hand, it awakens rebellion, and on the other, the wound of acting at the wrong time or without success. The essential thing in terms of relationships is to accept that you have to communicate without falling into drama, manipulation, or victimization. But the obligation now and for 18 months is to understand feelings, your own and those of others. Analysis will not be in fashion, but we must take an effort to take them into account. The path to resolution is long and goes in this direction. First, let's give space to the new, asking ourselves what we want to free ourselves from. Then, let's review what is truly valuable, inspires us, and has a special place in our heart. Let's make the decision to act with discipline, and then let's remember our purposes and goals. It is with all this that we understand that changing is for our own good. Neither foolishness nor dramas help us at this time. to end the month, the emphasis on Aquarius helps us to be intelligent. But let's remember that we are beginning to reevaluate intelligence. However high it may be, it cannot isolate us through arrogance. It is rather to teach, to communicate to others, to suggest new paths and solutions, not to impose them by force. Even if it is Pluto, let's choose the path of transformation. Let's avoid the path of imposition. We can do it.